The weather's a disaster. We have had school canceled again. I have about 4 loads of laundry that I need to fold. And we may be on the brink of World War III, but I have a white chocolate mini baguette and tea. So all's right with the world, clearly. Hello, and welcome back to this channel. My name is Cass, and I'm the fire portion of Fire and Ice Designs. And today we are finalizing that Ravenclaw witchy at 19 teens Hogwarts vibe that we started with the American Duchess cape, which I will link in a card above. And we are going to make the Professor McGonagall style deerstalker with the ear flap witch hat, because I have leftover fabric and it's not enough to really do anything else with other than make a hat, maybe a waistcoat. We'll see. Definitely a hat. So I'm gonna wing it because I'm not really sure how to do this other than I have some buckram for the brim because I want that to be a little bit stiffer. We'll see if it's too stiff. I might just go with some interfacing, and the fabric itself, it definitely needs something to give it some structure. And then the little pointy cone, I have to decide how tall I want that. I've measured my head circumference. I am going to draw out on pattern paper the shapes that I want generally and then perfect from there. And we'll see how this goes. Cap achieved. Now the question is, does it fit on this thing? We'll see. That looks like it's gonna fit. And little ear flaps. Yeah. We're gonna go with this. Now I need to remember to add seam allowance to all these patterns. Well, all the pieces are cut out, and there's still a lot of this wool. That's a problem for future me. Just gonna fold it back up and put it back in my stash. Alright, so now all the pieces are drafted and cut out in the lining and the outside fabric. I'm trying to decide what pieces I'm gonna use. Buckram. I think I'm just gonna use the buckram for the brim of the hat, and definitely nothing in the ear flaps, and then just do interfacing, like a lightweight interfacing in the top part. That's my plan. I have plenty of extra fabric if this goes terribly wrong. So I'm not super worried about it. This is a very economical project as far as fabric goes. You should be able to probably knock this out of less than a yard, unless you want a really big dramatic hat, but that sort of defeats the purpose of this hat. But I'm gonna start by doing the fusible interfacing. I'm just gonna fuse the interfacing to the wool because that's gonna be the part that needs to hold up in the inside. So I'm gonna fuse the interfacing to the, or on the outside, fuse the interfacing to the wool, and then I am going to cut out the buckram for the brim and assemble that. And then I need to figure out where the ear flaps are going, because I'm going to insert the ear flaps in between. Well, I suppose I need to attach. I'm talking through the assembly of this because this is as far as I've gotten in my brain, is draft pattern cutout pieces, and then in my brain it was like sew it together and it's done. So I'm going to fuse the interfacing to this. And then the interior lining, this piece is going to be the last thing that goes in, I think, because I'm going to do everything else around it, and then this is just going to hide all of this ends. I suppose I could do up the seam. Oh, I did piece this together so I didn't have to iron out more of the lining fabric because I was not feeling it. So I'm going to sew this one together just so it's in a cone shape, and then I'm going to leave it be. And then I'm going to interface this one and sew it together in a cone shape. And then I'm going to cut out the buckram and do the brim. Yeah. Cut out the buckram and do the brim, and then attach the brim to the crown, attach the ear flaps, stick in the lining. Yes, that's what we're doing. Here we go. I ended up going with just interfacing in the brim. I think it's going to be okay. I'm going to do some edge stitching. I don't need it to be really stiff. I think that's enough. And then I have the crown. Oh gosh, I like this a lot. And I've got my little ear flaps with the ribbons attached, and then they'll fold up, and then I'm going to put some of this fabric, probably a bias strip of that fabric, along the outside, because grosgrain ribbon is not going to work because it doesn't flex enough. But I've been working on this for like maybe 2 hours, and that's including filming and drafting and procrastinating and trying to figure out how to do the math, which took the majority of the time, and then having to take a break to do work stuff in between there. So this might be done today, because all I have to do is attach the brim to the crown. Sorry, I have to attach the brim to the crown, and I have to attach the ear flaps, and then I stitch in the lining for the crown, and then that's it. All I have to do is put the ribbon on it, which is fabulous, and I'm excited. Yay! I have to go pick up the tiny human and go pick up some other stuff, and I didn't need any buckram, which is amazing. So I'll see you in a little bit. It is evening and we're back, and here's what I've done in the meantime. I have top stitched the ear flaps and the brim. I top stitched the brim, probably not because you're ever going to see it, but just in an attempt to give it some structure. And now I'm attempting to attach the brim and the crown, but it seems as though the crown is too big, but I think I'm doing something wrong. I'm going to try using pins instead of these clips. I thought the clips would help. I don't think they're helping. I think what's happening is it's making it fit at the edge instead of making it fit where I need to stitch. So we're gonna mark some things and line up some registration marks and hope that that helps. We also seem to have some growth here. So I'm gonna do that and mark some stuff, and then I will show you what I'm looking at. I was having an issue where the hat wouldn't stay, like it didn't look like it was gonna fit, but it fits. It's just, it doesn't fit around the edge. It fits where I'm gonna stitch it. So that problem is resolved. It is a non-issue. The clips were the problem. Pinning has helped, and now I'm going to very slowly and carefully baste this down, and then once it's basted, I will clip it so that it lays flatter, and then I will stitch it for reals. I know it looks stupid, but I'm excited. I'm gonna go sew it so I can actually... Oh, the other thing that I need to do once I have it basted is baste in the ear flaps where I want them. Alright, I'm gonna go sew. Hey, that was successful. And it doesn't actually need clipping. It just flips. It needs the lining, obviously, but and the ear flaps. But it's wearable. It's a hat. I am probably gonna figure out where the ear flaps go. That's the next task. Figure out placement of the ear flaps. Baste them to the seam allowance. I'm just gonna like tuck them up in and baste them down, and then sew in the lining, which I'm gonna do by hand, and put a band around the rim of the hat for decoration. And we're done. Not bad for a couple of hours work. Last check-in of the night. I have gotten the hat all assembled, and I've pinned in the lining, and now all I have to do is go hand stitch that in. And then the last thing that I need to do is make the strip to go around the outside, but that's a decorative thing. It's not gonna be like functional in any way. It's just gonna be pretty. So it is not a necessary step. Once this is hand stitched in, this hat is wearable technically. So this is a nice little one-day make. I started this at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It's almost 10, but I stopped working on it for several hours. At like 3:15 I stopped working on it, and I didn't start working on it again until like 8. So I spent like 2 hours this afternoon, and then another like hour and a half, so like 4 hours. Once you account for the hand sewing, 4 hours. Not bad. We'll see if it meets with expectations. Kind of looks like the sorting hat right now, like grumpy face. Anyway, I'm gonna go hand sew, and I will check in with you when I get the bias strip cut out, which probably won't be until tomorrow after work. Right, the lining is sewn in, hat is wearable. One thing that I'm noticing is it's a scooch small. I did measure my head and I made it to the measurements of my head, but I didn't accommodate for the bulk that's going into here. But it sits nicely. If I do my hair up in a bun, it'll sit nicely over that. It doesn't really move because the fabric sticks to my hair. And again, if I wear my hair in a bun, I can use a hat pin to secure it. Or I can untie my ear flaps. Ugh, come on. And put them down like that. I think the interfacing and the brim was plenty. I could very easily make another one of these and do some hat making wire, so that this is adjustable. Well, that just looks foolish. But yeah, I could do that if I wanted to. But for right now, I'm going to call this wearable. I'm going to attempt to cut out a bias strip from here, this scrap, so that I have a band to put on around the top, and then this is feature complete. Alright, I'll check in when I have something to show you. Alright, I have attached I've made the band. I haven't attached it on there because I figure if I want to swap it out for anything, I can do that later, but I think it looks really good the way it is. And I made a little bow at the back, so it goes on like this, and then I can tie it under my chin or tie it up like that. And I am very pleased. I will hopefully get some final fancy footage and photos of this this weekend, and then that's a wrap. Final reflections: if you're going to make one of these on your own, I would make it slightly bigger than the circumference of your head to accommodate for seam allowance. Even if you're going to wear it with hat pins just sort of perched on your head, just because I think the only reason it's staying is because the fabric I used to line it is very grabby. I think if it wasn't quite so grabby, I would be having a problem. And I'm not really sure that this blue ribbon matches this blue fabric terribly well, but it's what I had and it's what's on the cape, so it matches the cape. But yeah, I really like this. I am very pleased with the way that it came out, and it was super easy and super fast and came together very quickly. So if you enjoyed watching me improvise this witch deerstalker hat a la Minerva McGonagall, give this video a thumbs up. If you want to follow along with more sewing shenanigans, hit the subscribe button. And my question for you is down in the comments below. Tell me, what is your peak aesthetic? Mine is obviously Victorian Granny Witch, aka Minerva McGonagall, and everything that Maggie Smith wears in all of those films, because they're just so good. Let me know down below what's your peak aesthetic, and I will see you in 2 weeks. Bye!